Good evening. Good evening. It's such a beautiful day outside, and I'm glad that you chose to come here and to spend the next hour with us. So we are about to start. It's already a little past 3 o'clock, so we want to be sure we start on time and finish on time. Chose to come here and spend the next. So this is the beginning of many future programs, and I'm so glad that our health ministries at the Ooltewah Seventh-day Adventist Church is very active. There are many questions that people are asking, especially because of coronavirus that is all over the world, and we hear a lot about it in the news. So we want to know, how can we be better prepared to withstand this very difficult time and the attacks of the virus? So that's why the health ministries team came up with this idea of having a seminar this afternoon, which will emphasize the importance of strengthening our immune system. The presenter for this afternoon, for this program, will be the leader of our health ministries, Diana Dodd. And I'm really grateful to Diana as well as to her team for preparing this beautiful program. The whole setup is just perfect. And after that, we will have, after the presentation, we will be sharing a few soups with those that are here and bread. And it all will be served to you by the ladies and gentlemen who are here with us. And then when you finish your samples or your soup, your bread, just leave everything on the table. You don't need to take it off your tables. We want to make it simple and easy for everyone who came. But we want to start with a prayer. So I'm inviting you for a moment of prayer before I invite Diana to come and take the stage. So let us pray now. Our Heavenly Father, we are grateful that you are the great physician and that you are teaching us and leading us and equipping us for this very difficult time. Lord, we want to be prepared and we want to learn more, to learn from the nature that you created around us, to learn from the word that you shared with us, the Bible. So, Lord, as we are about to start this program, we invite your presence to be with us, to bless those who are joining us on Zoom or YouTube, as well as those who are with us in this church. We are grateful, Lord, for the promise to be with us. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. So at this time, I'm inviting Diana Dodd to come and to start the presentation.
Thank you, Pastor Peter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immune System Secrets for Times Like These. Does anybody want to have a few secrets to know what to do? Let my computer catch up with me. You know, I want to just thank you all for taking the time. And I know there's a lot of people that'll be joining online. And this is going to be a lot of information that's coming through this one lecture. So it almost could have been divided into 3. So I really just encourage you to just take in the information that you're getting today. You have a wonderful handout. I want to make sure everybody has gotten this. If you're tuning in online, we will be able to email this information to you. So make sure to let us know, register through our health ministries link, and we've got contact information there so we can send that to you. And because this is being recorded, you'll be able to go back through it and watch it again, or pieces that you might want to. One thing, whenever you do this, and I am a registered nurse by background, and I left that profession after about 20 years in the hospital setting because I had a passion to teach health and wellness instead. And more recently, I've gotten certified as a health coach. And coaching is the art of asking the right question and helping people really identify what might be holding them back. Because I think often we kind of know what we should be doing, but we get in our own way. Have you ever found that? So I think my goal here today is to educate you and hopefully inspire you. I definitely want to connect you with the true source of healing, which is our Lord Jesus Christ. I do have to give a disclaimer, though, just as a responsible medical person, that the presentation is for information only. I'm not going to take the place of your medical provider, your physician or practitioner. This is not diagnosis or treatment. And this material really represents my own opinions based on my experience and the research that I've done. And it doesn't necessarily represent the opinions of everyone at the Ooltewah SDA Church. So if you're gonna get mad at anybody, you get mad at me. And I do always want to encourage you to seek the advice of your medical provider with any questions that you have regarding any medical situation. So consult with them before you do anything, especially if you have any kind of health issues. Before you start an exercise program or start taking any supplements or anything represented or recommended here, make sure you check with them and get cleared first. Fair enough? Once I get this thing going, I don't think it'll keep hesitating. Let's see. So is this a time to be filled with fear? You like this image? I mean, that's how the whole world has been feeling. Is it a time to be filled with fear, or is this a great time for a wake-up call? This is a wonderful quote by an MIT graduate and chemist, Raymond Francis. He says, "We are still in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, and few Americans have ever experienced anything like this. Unless you've been living under a rock, this pandemic has got your attention. But look on it as an opportunity, a wake-up call to pay attention to your health, to learn how to choose health, and how to become a healthier and stronger you." Does that sound like good advice? So here's a thought. You won't know what genuine fear is until you've been chased by a rooster or a Canadian goose or a farm goose. Our sound guy told me, he's like, for him, it was a, what did he say? A goat, a billy goat. So whenever, I wanted to share a quick story. So we had a farmer next door to us where I grew up in Pennsylvania, and they had those big farm geese. And anytime we would go to visit, you know what they would do? They honk, they come at the car. As you're walking up the walk, their neck is snaking and they're chasing at you. I was terrified. Until there was one day that the farmer happened to be outside. And there must have been a young goose that didn't know any better, and it still came at us even though the farmer was with us. What do you think the farmer did? Do you think he was nervous at all? I'll never forget it. He reached down, he took a hold of that goose right under its head, lifted it off the ground, gave it a little shake, and sat it back down. And it absolutely just walked off. And I remember I was just stunned. I'm like, wow, I had no idea that was an option, that you could do that. And I think because he knew what to do, right? And he had posture and he wasn't afraid. So the thing for me is that when we know better, we can do better. And I'm sorry, this is still hesitating. I don't know if there's anything more I can do to get it to go quicker. So we do the best we can when we know better, okay? And then once you know better, then we can do better. So is someone coming to save your health? That's another question I want to ask. Your health is whose responsibility? Is it just your doctor's job to keep you healthy, your employer's job, your insurance company? And if you are scared about your immune system right now, is something coming to miraculously protect you? And whose job is it to get you healthy? So my encouragement to all of us is to learn how to build our own health. No one is going to take better care of you than you. And we can equip the body to withstand whatever the environment is throwing at it. And that's going to come in the forms of stresses and viruses, pathogens, bad food, toxicity. So no one is coming to take better care of you than you, and it's kind of time to get to work. So the next thought I want to have is, how important is the state of your immunity? So this is the second quote I want to share from Raymond Francis. And I want you to know that there is a resources page in your handout that has a link to this whole article. And we'll also be able to email you that resources page so you can just click these links as well. But he says it doesn't matter what the infection is, whether it be the common cold, the flu, the coronavirus, or something else. The single most important factor in whether you will get sick, how sick you will get, and how fast you will recover is what? The state of your immunity. Not everyone who is exposed to a virus gets sick. We've all seen that, right? When somebody gets sick in the home, does everybody normally get it? Or do you maybe have it just hit a few members and not somebody else? So the stronger your immunity, the less likely you are to get sick, the less severe your illness will be, and the shorter your recovery time. So I think, who wants to sign up for that, to have a really strong immunity to get you through? And the idea that you can actually be exposed to things and not come down with them. So is your immune system weak and vulnerable? This reminds me of we used to have a little chihuahua named Molly. we nicknamed her the sniveling victim, because this was truly the look on her face all the time. And I've seen this look on people's faces, right, in this day and age, and I don't want us to look like that. So is the immune system like that, or is it strong and ready to protect you? So what I've divided this up today is the ABCs. The ABCs to strengthen the immune system. So this is what we're gonna flow through today. One of the biggest things I think with the immune system, you may think you're only gonna hear about nuts and bolts of what you have to do. It's a lot of your attitude. Attitude and beliefs change everything. So attitude is mind-body connection, and optimism versus pessimism, and using the mind. Has anybody ever heard of that, using the mind to prevent and to fight disease? Your beliefs are literal beliefs and spiritual beliefs. So does it matter what you believe? And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something called the germ theory versus terrain theory. And I don't know if you've heard of that or not. And also the impact of having faith in a higher power. And then your choices, your actions are going to be powered by those beliefs. So we will flow through the basic laws of health specific to how they impact the immune system. Got a section on supplementation and can that help? Some homeopathic remedies, and then also some treatment options that you can employ if you do end up catching something. So I think having a lot of tools in your tool belt, just like the farmer knew what to do with that goose, I think having some things. So attitudes, beliefs, and choices can really make a big difference. Which side do you want to be on? You know, I just think it's important. So we have books in the back. You may have noticed those on your way in. And one of them is a wonderful book called The Ministry of Healing. So some of you may be familiar with this. And this is what the Ministry of Healing is really talking about. Never has it been more important to understand the physical and spiritual laws of health than today, when stress and mental illness, heart disease, and you know what that used to say where I put COVID-19? It used to say AIDS. Everybody remember when AIDS, when that was everybody talked about? Do we even hear about it anymore? No, now it's COVID-19. And we also have cancer and all these other things ravaging our society. Is there a better way to live? Do God and nature itself possess the secrets to long life and peace of mind? So we're going to take a look today at God's plan for our health and happiness. And I do want to encourage you, if you don't have that book or haven't ever had access to it, I want to encourage you to take one, and there's other resources that we want you to take. And take some for a friend if you know somebody that would be blessed by it. And here's the verse that I really want us to stand on. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Does that sound like we should live in fear? Does it sound like he's going to give us what we need? So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think everybody's heard that. Like this picture puts it together a little bit. So here's our ounce of prevention is going to come from the immune system. And it is absolutely a system head to toe, very intricate and interconnected. I don't have time today to go into all the different aspects of that immune system. I do want you to know that it's about 70% of it lives in your gut microbiome. Who knew that? Who knew that most of your immune system was in your gut? Do you know why God designed it that way? Because the outside world comes into the body through the mouth, through all the food we're eating, you know, and through everything that we take in. So the immune system and your level of immunity is the sum of many parts. Okay, there's a lot of things that are going to take a toll on that. Stress is in this list. Isn't that interesting? Do you know that they've determined that stress and anxiety is actually worse for your health than smoking? Isn't that amazing? So when we look at stress, that kind of falls in with attitude, which is the mind cure. So here's a quote from the Ministry of Healing, a wonderful book written by E.G. White. The condition of the mind affects the health to a far greater degree than many realize. Grief, anxiety, discontent, remorse, guilt, distrust, all tend to break down the life forces and to invite decay and death. Disease is sometimes produced and is often greatly aggravated by what? The imagination. Many imagine that every slight exposure will cause illness, and the evil effect is produced because it is expected. So if you think you're going to catch it, what does this tell us? If you think you're going to catch it, you will. Remember that verse we just had, to have trust in the Lord, to not have fear, and to have a sound mind. I think that there's such a wonderful truth in this. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to, with the recording of this, that you'll be able to have access to these slides again. And I don't know how else we can share them, because I want to make sure these are available to you. So the cells in your body react to everything that your mind says. Absolutely. Negativity will bring down your immune system. So be positive. Have a healthy, positive attitude. That's going to help build your immune system. It will boost your overall health. So this is really optimism versus pessimism. Okay, we've all heard of that. I love what Harry Truman said. A pessimist is one who makes difficulties of his opportunities, and an optimist is one who makes opportunities of his difficulties. Isn't that great? So attitude is something that you can choose to take control of. You ever heard to choose joy? Doesn't that sound easy? Not so easy on a glum day. But if you can resist doom and gloom and choose to be cheerful just by being content, choosing to be kind, practicing thankfulness, expressing gratitude. And there's countless stories in the hospital setting of patients who were given terrible diagnoses, but they constantly watched. I remember one specific story, he watched I Love Lucy episodes. You know, just all these episodes of these wonderful old shows that he loved that made him laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. You know what happened? He got well. And it was just amazing. So I think if we can fill ourselves with joy and with the music that uplifts your spirit and with things that make you laugh and people that bring you up. And one surefire way to improve your attitude is with a daily gratitude journal. And that's simply a little notebook, a little journal of any kind, where at the end of the day or the beginning of the day or both, you just write down a few things that you're thankful for. And it's powerful. Has anyone done that? Has anyone ever kept a gratitude journal? Did it help? I mean, if you focus on the things that you have, it just changes everything. And our attitudes determine whether we experience peace or fear, freedom or limitation, and to a large extent, whether we are sick or well. And here's a wonderful promise from 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, to rejoice always, pray without ceasing, to give thanks in what circumstances? All circumstances. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. And then Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So do you think we're told over and over and over that the mind matters, that your attitude matters? And I will encourage you to read one chapter of Proverbs a day. Do you know how many chapters there are? 31. Is that an accident? One for every day. So that's a wonderful way to go. And Proverbs also says in 23:7, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. So for best results, practice this daily. First aid for the soul. And this is also something that we can send to you. We weren't able to get the transmission of this into this handout yet, but just to be yourself truthfully, to accept yourself gratefully, to value yourself joyfully, to forgive yourself completely, treat yourself generously, balance yourself harmoniously, bless yourself abundantly, trust yourself confidently, love yourself wholeheartedly, empower yourself immediately, to give yourself enthusiastically and to express yourself radiantly. Wouldn't you want to live with somebody that was doing all that? To have those people in your family? So it's a nice idea to be that person in the family. And happiness is really the art of never holding in your mind the memory of any unpleasant thing that has passed. Do you know anybody that every time you see them, there's always negativity and drama? And then some will often share the same stories over and over again. And it's almost like a record that's repeating for them. Are those people filled with joy or peace? And I think any of us can fall into that trap. You may find yourself kind of repeating something, you know, over and over. And I just encourage you to give it to the Lord, just to pray about it and put it at his feet, and choose to only hold on to these beautiful memories of the things that bring joy. You know, and when you're talking to people, try to come up with those things, right, in your conversation. That way you lift them up and bless them. You know, and I think that's, to me, one of the best ways that we can be a friend, right, is to somebody else to do that. So is there anything that we can do more powerful than not have the negative attitude? So Sylvia and I were together when we were trying to find a picture of an angry face. And they were frightening. Like Sylvia said, oh, these are upsetting. I don't want to upset anybody. So I looked for angry babies. It's funny. So 1 minute of anger, guess what? It weakens the immune system for 4 to 5 hours. Isn't that amazing? But a positive attitude, guess what it does? 1 minute of laughter will boost it for 24. So where do you want to be? Funny. And I love this proverb. A merry heart does good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. And I love this picture. Love this little girl. What is she embracing life or what? And this kind of picture, every time I see this, it brings me joy. So I feel like I need to print that puppy and stick it somewhere in my house. So she probably has nothing. This is obviously a little girl from a nomadic tribe. Is she worried about that? And I think that's why children are so good to have in our lives, because they embrace life in a real beautiful way. So I hope that's been a great review of attitude. Do you agree and see how that might make a difference in life? So belief, that's our B of the ABCs. And there's spiritual beliefs, and then we're going to talk about literal beliefs. So spiritual belief, I really think, is the key to a strong and abundant life. So are your beliefs negative or positive? Negative would be, ugh, the world is out to get me. I need to really, everything is out to get me. There's nothing that can help. There is nothing that I can personally do. Everything is hopeless and I am afraid. Or do you have positive beliefs, or that you are created on purpose? Do you know that there is a God in heaven who loves you beyond measure? Do you truly know that? Because it's true. Do you know that your God will meet all your needs, and that you can do all things through him, and that you do not need to be afraid? It has been scientifically proven that belief in God, in a higher power, is healthier for you. And Joshua 24:15 has this statement of belief: as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Do you think it might make a difference if in the morning you stated this belief before you started your day? Do you think that might drive back any of the negative powers that are out there? Is our struggle against flesh and blood or against spiritual forces? And I think if somebody is not a believing person, I would ask, where does your hope come from, right? And what is the source of your strength? When you are a believing person, do you have a source of hope and a source of strength? So choosing who you will serve, and choosing who you're going to follow, and choosing the mind influence that you're going to have, like what voice is it that's speaking to you, is going to make a huge difference. And God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. That's Philippians 4:19. Faith, however, is not the belief that God will do what you want. It is the belief that God will do what is right. And do we know the end from the beginning? No. Does he? Yes. So we can trust him in all things. So hopefully that gives you some good ideas on spiritual belief. Physical beliefs. Okay, so this is a big deal for me. So I'm going to try to make this in a condensed version. But did you know that there are two different disease theories out there? Have you ever heard of the germ theory versus terrain theory? Has anybody ever heard this before? Okay, so Louis Pasteur in the 1860s had this. He was the first to identify bacteria in the air, so he came up with the germ theory. And then Antoine Béchamp at the same time said, well, hold on a minute. I don't know that I agree with this. So Louis Pasteur's germ theory is more of what caused our medical pharmaceutical model. And you can see in this image, the idea is just to vaccinate the fish. Don't look at the water, don't look at the kind of food you're feeding the fish, just vaccinate the fish. Whereas Antoine Béchamp's model is, why don't we clean the tank and look at what we're feeding the fish? And so the idea is, do germs and viruses cause disease? Not any more than mosquitoes cause the swamp. What comes first? The swamp, right? So the germ theory emphasizes that the sole cause of disease is microbes. And I think this is getting held up. I don't know, where's Pastor Peter? I think the slide got held up on the Zoom. The theory referred to a one-to-one relationship between that disease agent and the disease. If you had a disease agent and you had a person, then you were going to have disease. Okay, right? Do you understand that that's what he said? Whereas with Béchamp, his theory, when he said, hold on, the body is filled with microbes. I'm sorry, this is hesitating again. Don't you love computers and technology? They have their own little mind. His theory said, wait a minute, the microbe is nothing. The terrain is everything. That we don't actually catch diseases, we build them. And you should treat the patient, not the infection. That germs will seek their natural habitat, which is diseased tissue, rather than being the cause of the diseased tissue. So in the first germ theory, who's in control? The germ. You see that? Who is in control in terrain theory? And this is your inner terrain, your body. You are in control. What sounds more like God's health message? The second. And so this to me is what's so important, that I believe that we can live and move and be in community and not have that fear. So this is a wonderful little acronym. What you really should be told to do is an acronym of virus, to take vitamins and minerals in your food, and we'll talk about supplements. And You know, some people choose virus-killing herbs through the help of a naturopath or herbalist. The I could stand for your immune system support with nutrients and herbs. R for what? Rest and relaxation. So critical. You using good hygiene practices. Should we only wash our hands during the COVID time, or should we always have been doing that? And then stress management for the S, your work-life balance, and then also sun time, to make time for vitamin D. So have there ever been pandemics in the past? Does anybody remember? What all have we had? Bird flu, H1N1? Yeah, well, the swine flu, I think, yeah, we had that. We've had the Spanish flu back in the 1918s. Are there still people? Have we made it through in the past? Now, this one's a bad one, okay? Well, there's some stuff going on with this COVID, and we're gonna touch on that at the end, but your immune system naturally protects you from infectious disease. Please remember that. And that's how we've survived for millennia without modern medical intervention. So even against this new challenge of coronavirus. So now we're going to move into choices. Does everybody understand the germ theory versus terrain? Does it give you a little hope that you can take some control of your terrain? So we're going to look at choices now. So if you understand that you don't want to have your body being a swamp to attract the mosquitoes, then there's choices, and the choices are up to you. So it's never too early or too late to choose what the acronym of a New Start. So who has heard of New Start before? This stands for nutrition, exercise, water. Who has not heard of this? Maybe I should ask that, because I know a lot of you may have heard this, but I love it when I have somebody that can hear this for the first time. So nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine. The original T was just temperance, but in this modern age, we also need to look at being toxin-free, air, rest, and trust in God. So we're going to flow through these hopefully pretty quickly. And this is all detailed in your handout. All these are in here, and Sylvia did a beautiful job putting that together. So New Start, the N is nutrition. So obviously eat whole plant-based food is your best choice, growing food, green, you know, the kind that comes out of the earth. If it comes from a plant, it's probably better than if it came from a plant. Eating several times daily, 4 hours apart, kind of let your body have a chance to digest that one meal before you throw another one in there. If you can avoid snacks and overeating and even do a little calorie restriction, especially if you're coming down with something, did you know that calorie restriction will increase your natural killer cells in your immune system 4-fold? And it also has a great effect on how well they work. And avoiding sugar, junk juices, and junk food, and paying special attention to your gut health will all make a huge difference. And I think we all know that, like, the Snickers bar is bad and the apple is good. I mean, so it's, a lot of that is common sense, but I think sometimes we just need to be encouraged, right, to make those choices. So a healthy gut, we're going to talk about the gut now, and equals healthy digestion, which is going to equal a healthy immune system. Has anyone heard that the GI tract is actually your second brain? You may have heard that? There's 100 trillion with a T microorganisms living in your intestines, communicating with your brain. It's almost like we are less human cells, do you know this, than we are all these other microorganisms. So we're like a few human cells holding together this whole other colony. Isn't that wild? And in a healthy gut, the bad bacteria struggle to flourish. And this, because it's 70% of our immune system in this digestive tract, that's why it's called a whole microbiome and a second brain. And one of the things that's going to really keep that gut healthy is fiber, which is critical to gut health and your overall health. Now, do animal products, you know, even whether it's meat, cheeses, dairy, do those have any fiber? What do you think? Any fiber? Not a bit. Not a bit at all. Zero fiber in animal products. However, there's a ton of fiber in all your growing plant foods. So fiber is going to do something for every area of the body with weight management, blood sugar. Obviously, the bowel's going to function better, but it's going to absolutely improve your immune system. And probiotics cannot live in the absence of fiber, and you absolutely have to have probiotics to critical to that microbiome. So some people will get probiotics. Maybe you've heard from yogurt cultures. Others, like I choose to supplement with probiotics, and I even supplement with some fiber. Some people do that, some do not. I think it's important to make sure that you're taking a really healthy version of whatever you're doing. Some doctors can make recommendations on that. You know, I've taken extra research on this, but the probiotics do a lot of things to, and like at the top, you see it's preventing the reproduction of pathogenic microflora. Okay, so it's going to also have an antagonist effect on the top right to the harmful microorganisms, and it's strengthening the immune system. Now, sugar has a bunch of problems. And so the one thought, if you're only going to change one thing, what do you think it should be? Reduce the sugar. And it says here, like, it's going to weaken your body's defenses by how much? That's a lot, 75% for 4 to 6 hours. So people that are drinking sodas and eating sugar regularly don't ever get to experience a fully strengthened immune system, right? The other problems with sugar is that it depletes your immune system in a whole bunch of ways. It decreases the production of antibiotics, interferes in the transport of vitamin C into the cells, causes mineral imbalances, which weaken the immune system. It feeds what? The unhealthy bacteria and the fungi in the gut. You don't want that. And it destroys the germ-killing ability of white blood cells for up to 5 hours after ingestion. So to boost your immunity power, there's a whole bunch of things that are going to help. Oranges, limes, red bell peppers, turmeric, or some pronounce it turmeric, green tea, honey, garlic, ginger, spinach, oats, lemons, sweet potatoes, blueberries. There are a ton of foods. If you just Google immune boosting foods, there's a wealth of info on that. And just have this idea that you're not depriving yourself. You're just going to crowd out the bad with the good, right? Just try to crowd it out. You're going to live, you're going to go to a birthday party, you're going to enjoy things. I admit that in our house, we like to have Sabbath be a sweet day, but you know, those are the times that we'll enjoy something special. But if you just have the bulk of your diet where you're enjoying good foods regularly, that really makes a difference. All right, the E in New Start is for exercise. A modern thought is really if you can get in 30 minutes, about 5 days a week, and it's going to do a ton for you, improving your circulation, which is detoxifying. And if you can get outside, then you're going to get some fresh air and some sunlight. So if you got exercise and fresh air and sunlight, I call that a good triple win. And 5 ways that exercise will boost your immune system is it's critical for your overall, not just physical, but your mental health. So you remember the attitudes and beliefs, it's going to help with that. Increasing the ability of their body to deliver and use oxygen. It increases your T cells for immunity, decreases stress hormones, increases insulin sensitivity to lowering blood sugar. So the better your body can take in that blood sugar, the less likely you are to just have that circulating. And you know, if you do nothing else, when you've eaten a meal, get outside and walk for 5 or 10 minutes. That'll lower the glycemic spike. It'll improve your body's digestion. And if you walk for 10 minutes after each meal, you've done 30 minutes in a day. You know, so don't be hard on yourself. Just do what you can, right? And if you don't manage any one day, you can, you know, pick up the next day. W is for water. We've always heard like to drink 8 glasses of water a day, 8-ounce glasses. Another thought is to look at half your body weight in ounces. Take your body weight divided by 2 and drink those ounces. My advice is to keep a water bottle with you at all times and just be sipping on it. And go get one that has something that it says on it that uplifts you. You know, I think then you're more inclined to keep it with you and keep sipping out of it. Drink enough water to keep your urine clear. You know, that morning urine is going to be much darker, and you can see because of how it's concentrated as your body has dehydrated overnight. Guess when most heart attacks happen and strokes? Yep, in the nighttime, usually toward the end of the night. Do you know why? Because people's blood is the thickest, because they've been dehydrating, and that's the worst time to have a stroke or a cardiovascular event happen. So really hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And there is zero substitute for the effects of dehydration. Absolutely nothing can make up for this. And if you're drinking other things, like if you're choosing to drink sodas or coffees or other things, follow that with the equal amount of water, and that'll make a big difference. And I think we've all aware that it's also going to improve your skin and your hair and the mind, and the body is over. I'm trying to let it catch up with me. Oops. 60% water. Did you know that? That you're 60% water. Children need at least 4 to 8 cups a day, and it's going to help every area of the body. Now, S is sunshine. So does everybody slap on sunscreen? Did you know that's actually caused a kind of an epidemic of vitamin D deficiency? So we really need to get 30 minutes of sunshine without sunscreen on. You know, and just your face is not enough. Like, if you ever wonder, why do we have flu season? Why do you think that is? Because in these colder months, everybody's bundled up, it's cold, they're not outside, right? We're not getting as much. So really still in these months when it's cooler, try to get out there and get some sun. You want to avoid burning. That's more of a problem in the summertime. So don't get out in those peak hours between like 11 and 2. You know, if you're going to get your 30 minutes, get it earlier or later. But sunshine does a tremendous amount of things, including stimulating the body's production of vitamin D, which we're going to talk about here in a little while, which is critical to immunity. It also improves your mood, and it regulates the circadian rhythm for better sleep. And guess what else it does? It kills germs on surfaces. So this is where I don't worry about things like the playground, because guess what? It's already been disinfected. And I did have, and this kind of repeats some of this, it's affecting positively your blood pressure and cholesterol, improving that mood because it's your serotonin level and everything is connected with vitamin D, boosting immunity, increasing energy. And I was told this story after church this week by a gentleman that had spent time in Puerto Rico. And he told this story that there was a patient in the hospital that had a terrible throat infection. So this was decades ago, terrible throat infection, and they could do nothing for her. And he was asking, come in the lab and see what we've got. So they showed him a petri dish that was growing the microorganism that they had swabbed out of her throat. And then they had taken like 52 different types of medications, antibiotics and things that they had put these in the petri, and they looked to see what affects the organism. None of them were having any effect. So they didn't know what to do, and she was getting worse and worse and worse, and they actually called in a dentist to see, like, what did he recommend? I guess they felt like the throat was close to the mouth and maybe he'd have an idea. And guess what he told them to do? Take her outside in the sun several times a day and make sure it hits the back of her throat. And so they did, and guess what happened? It worked. So I've never heard that before. Have you heard that before? To go, if you have a sore throat, to get your mouth open out in the sun? I just think that's an amazing, and then you might need a friend to kind of make sure you got your mouth open the right way. And I guess if you do that with other people seeing you, they might wonder if something's wrong with you. But I just think that's a phenomenal idea, and didn't God give us the sun on purpose? So not just getting it on your skin, but that it would take an effect there. So the T is for temperance and being toxin free. I just want to talk about moderation in all things for temperance, right? Avoiding immunity impairing sugars and refined foods and nicotine, alcohol, drugs. Alcohol actually decreases your natural killer cells, and you want those to protect you. And avoiding toxic cleaning products, like, did you know that chlorine bleach and Clorox is toxic? And ammonia and Lysol. I was really sick after the years I was taking care of my mother, and I finally prayed about that in a way that I got some answers, and it was from all the disinfectants and the store brand cleaners that I was using. I didn't know they were toxic. So toxins are not just in cigarettes and donuts. They're in air fresheners and perfumes and multi-purpose cleaners, your dish cleaners and your laundry. The 10 most common toxic chemicals in products to avoid, here's a big list: phthalates, paraben, lead, PBAs, 1,4-dioxane, SLS, PVCs, triclosan. And I have a wonderful video, if anybody reaches out to me, that I can share with you with some physicians talking more about this. And in your resources page that we can also email, so you can just click the direct link, is a study from 2018. So I don't know if anybody heard of this lung study. It was a 20-year independent study. It says it's in the red. There was over 6,000 subjects, and they were looking at what happened with people that were using store brand cleaners, liquid and spray. They were surprised that they both were equally damaging. And they specifically looked at chlorine bleach, ammonia, and basic, they call them quaternary disinfecting compounds. And those are the basic things that are like in 409 and Pine Sol. And they were looking at lung capacity and lung function decline. And they thought it might be bad, but they really had no idea how bad it would be. And this was compiled through 28 top researchers from 9 countries. It was headed out of the University of Bergen in Norway. And it's been peer reviewed, published in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine. And I have their report in the files for you. And it was all over the news because they decided and they determined that cleaning once a week, which is what most people were doing, right? Cleaning once a week was as bad for the lungs as somebody that smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. Did you understand that? Cleaning once a week with those chemicals is as bad for your lungs as smoking a pack a day. So what do you think that lung function decline will do in this time of viruses, whether it's the cold, the flu, or COVID-19? And if you think chemicals have been tested, this is an old number. 84,000 is probably way greater than this that are being used. The FDA's only tested 200. They don't regulate these. There's only 5 that are even regulated. And the last time that chemical safety law was updated was in 1976. So what's really in the Clorox wipes? You can't even pronounce a lot of these. They're causing burns, eye damage, asthma, allergies, respiratory problems, hormone disruption, cancer. So there's a whole thought about how do these chemicals come into the marketplace. when they were developed. And I don't have time to go into all that today, so reach out to me if you want to know a little more. We can share some other info with you. But people are making themselves sick. So are you cleaning or are you killing? You know, and the poison control has said that their incidence of poisonings is up to 40% since coronavirus alert has happened. So that leads us into the air quality, because that's is the next part. So you want fresh air. The EPA determined that air inside of homes is up to 70% more polluted than outside. Guess why? Because of all the things we're using, and we recirculate the air. So we want to encourage you to not only use non-toxic products in your home, but open your windows and get fresh air in, even in the middle of the winter. You know, take a moment to let that recirculate. And I would encourage you, and let's do it now, because I know you've all been sitting for a while. I want you to do some deep breathing. If you want to stand up to do this, feel free. Stand up and wiggle around a little bit. But if you've ever done any deep breathing, I want you to inhale as fully as you can. And you can even do a little stretch with it if you want to. And I want you to hold that breath in at the top for 4 seconds. And then exhale completely. And imagine just wringing your lungs out. I want you to repeat that. So inhale and hold it at the top for about 4 seconds, what's comfortable, and then exhale it. I want you to keep doing that, just at your own pace. And as you inhale in, what if you were to think of the fruit of the Spirit, which is love and joy and peace and patience. And now as you exhale, I think you're all ready to exhale out anything that is not. And now the rest of the fruit of the Spirit: joy, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And exhale any memory of anybody that didn't treat you with those. And just do that one more time. Just breathe in everything that is good. And then as you breathe out, blow all the rest away. And do a couple more as you want to. And then you can sit down whenever you're ready. And can you imagine that if you repeat this cycle for about 5 or 10 minutes, what that does? Dr. James Markham, if anyone's heard of him, he's a local cardiologist. His chest pain patients that were not controlled, thank you guys, I love it. Did everybody enjoy getting up? You're welcome to sit back down. He has chest pain patients that were not really responding well to medications. He would have all of his patients do deep breathing for upwards of 30 minutes a day. And guess what? Their chest pain episodes were going away, not even using medication. So that kind of breathing is important. And if you can do it outside in fresh air, even better. And I think it's critical to make sure that the air inside of your home is not toxic. So it's going to purify the bloodstream, the quality of your blood. It increases digestion and assimilation of food. So if you go for that walk after the meal, great time to do the deep breathing. It improves the health of your nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and your nerve centers. So you want to keep your brain in good shape, do some deep breathing. R is for rest, sleeping 6 to 9. Well, we put 6 to 9. It's 7 to 9 is even better. You know, the closer you can get to 8 to 9 hours of sleep is wonderful. And just like water, there is no substitute for this. Even one night of poor sleep decreases immunity and increases the risk of infection. So do you understand that? One night of not getting enough rest, you're really setting yourself up. So, you know, this is where we want to have that balance of work and relaxation time. Make sure you rest if you're tired or stressed. It's going to give you a sharper mind. It'll ward off heart disease, boost your immune system, and helps keep you trim. That's one of the biggest ways that can help with weight loss. If someone's carrying excess body weight. All right, we're going to finish with T, trust in God. I think this is the most important law of health. Anybody agree that trust in God? There's no broccoli to make up for this. Trust in God is going to give you hope and peace. And I truly believe that God loves you and he wants you to be healthy. Do you believe that? Does he want us to suffer? No, he loves you and he wants you to be healthy in body and mind and spirit. So where does the source of your hope come from? And I think we have to kind of show up to get it. And how can we get it? What about if we read the Bible? Just open it. You ever thought of the Bible as his love letter to you? To just read that daily. You can start in Proverbs, start in the New Testament, start wherever you want, and to pray often. Now here's a really fun thing, and this, how many fear nots are in the Bible? I've included this link in your resources. This is a phenomenal website. Are you feeling, this is a screenshot from the website. Are you feeling anxious or afraid of the coronavirus and its effects on society? Who has been feeling like that? So they've got a whole bunch of like coronavirus Bible verses. I had never heard it put that way, but those are going to be the ones that really help support you. And they've got a bunch of podcasts. And guess how many fear nots there are? Over 365. And there's actually a 366, so it includes leap year. Isn't that amazing? So one for every day of the year. God does not want us to go a single day without hearing his word of comfort to fear not. So I think that's an important thing. This is a big piece for me, that we would not need to be afraid. So I encourage you to look at that resource. And some of them, sorry, I had to let that catch up. Some of the verses are telling you to only fear the Lord, right? But here's a wonderful promise, Isaiah 40:31. Those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Psalms 56:3-4. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? So does that fill you with a little hope? So a new start, is it only for the immune system, or can you see how that's for your overall health? Now that's going to impact absolutely everything. So for some additional helps, what else can we do besides New Start? So we're going to talk about hydrotherapy, nutritional supplements, and some natural medicinals. So has anybody heard of hydrotherapy? And that's things like hot and cold contrast showers, baths, or fomentations. Anybody heard fomentations? I think it's fun. So hydrotherapy can very powerfully optimize immune function. It promotes monocytes in your natural killer cells, effective in decongesting your lungs, and your O2 saturation will improve, stimulates antibody production, and if done at the first sign of infection, can prevent progression. Who wants that? Who wants to nip it in the bud? So a contrast shower. Now I did this first really when I was going through Dr. Neil Nedley's, have anybody heard of Dr. Nedley? He has like a brain enhancement program. And one of the big things I recommend are contrast showers. And what you do simply is you use hot water as hot as you can stand it for 3 minutes. And then guess what? Cold. When they do it at the, what do they call it? At the residential program, guess what they do to people? They put them in the hot shower and then they get in a tub with ice cubes floating in it. So think about that when you're just in the shower. And I say just take it as cold as you can, right? I don't want you to like be hating me and hating life at the time you're doing this. But the 30 seconds is all you're doing that cold for, okay? And then you go back to hot. And guess how good that hot feels? And then you're gonna do that for 3 minutes. So you're scrubbing up and start doing your hair, whatever you're doing, and then go to cold. So you're doing your shower. We're not just wasting water, right? And then cold. And you're doing 3 cycles. Now, I don't know if I should sing in front of everybody. I do not proclaim to be a singer, but during the cold part, what Dr. Nedley recommended, and I got to hear Dr. Derek Heldzinger sing this, is a little song to the tune of Are You Sleeping, Brother John? So here it goes. I don't like it, but that's okay, I can do it anyway, I'm all right. And if you do that twice, that's about 30 seconds. And I will tell you what, I had to sing that puppy every time. And plus it helped me know when I was through 30 seconds, okay? And immediately after you do this, you're gonna end on cold. So 3 cycles, right? Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. When you get out, briskly dry off and get in your bed. Or at least lie down and bundle up, at least for 20 minutes. And if you do it at bedtime, obviously you're in bed for the night. And that's really gonna get you the maximum benefit. And what does the contrast shower do? What do you think this does to put hot and then cold on the body? Blood. So during the hot water, what's happening? It's pulling all the blood to the surface. And guess what the blood does in the ice cold part? It shunts in to protect your organs. And then you pull it back. And I will absolutely guarantee you, no matter how much you might hate it during it, every single time you will be so glad you did this, because your mind will just feel, you will feel so invigorated. If you did nothing else good the entire day, this can be that one great thing you did at the end of your day. And the singing part, you can do that or not. I hope I didn't hurt your ears by giving you my little tune. But I think it really made a difference. I'm going to just tell you, it made a difference for me to do that. And then the fomentations are where you can do this using damp towels that you would heat in the microwave. and you are just putting those on affected areas like lungs or sinuses, please don't burn your skin. Put dry towels down first, and just ensure it's not burning. You're going to put that damp towel over top of that dry one and be careful. Leave it on for just 3 minutes, and then you can rub the skin with an ice cold cloth for 1 minute. So this is really helpful if somebody's so sick they're just too puny to even get in the shower right then, right? Or if you just feel like you want to do it this way. And repeat cycles of hot and cold for maybe up to 15 minutes, and then always end on cold. So is anybody going to try these? Anybody going to try the contrast shower? I mean, it's worth it. Nutritional supplementation is our next part. Can it help? I want you to decide for yourself. It absolutely may, and I'm not going to make any promises, right? It may enhance and support your body's ability to heal. I think God gave us nutrition though on purpose. Would you agree? It can support the immune system during the times of exposure to pathogens, and it may limit the severity of the illness. Has everybody heard of vitamin C? Okay, some people actually tell you that it's not going to work, and other people swear by it. So it can be a very effective antiviral. It can help prevent and lessen respiratory infections such as cold and flu. We do encourage you to follow your doctor's guidelines. Suggested dosing is 1,000 milligrams, and you can increase that as your bowel tolerates. And what that means is if you get to a certain point, you'll have diarrhea and then back down. Now, the article, that chemist that I was quoting, he takes 16,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. That's his tolerance level. And he's 83, and he has no fear of any virus or pathogen. So I'm not going to really argue with an 83-year-old. So I think you can choose what you're doing. Definitely follow with your doctor if you have any questions. And it is absolutely under study for use in preventing and treating COVID-19. And this link is included in your resources. From the medical news today, they've found, vitamin C is an antioxidant, if you haven't heard that. It really fights oxidative damage. And when when the immune system is activated to kill a pathogen, that's going to cause oxidative damage in the body. And oxidation is kind of like your body's rust factor. You know how metal will rust when it's left out, or how rubber hose gets brittle? Oxidation in our body, if you could think of it as the rusting in the body. So you want things that are going to combat that. And it aids in the healthy immune function by supporting the development of those white blood cells. So it has been used even in another protocol we're going to see in a little bit by an Advent Health hospital in their treatment of COVID-19, and we'll kind of touch on that. So vitamin D is a pro-hormone powerhouse. It's not actually a vitamin. Now there's a video by Dr. Berg. In the efforts of time, I'm going to wait and we'll play that while we're having our soup. And it's phenomenal. And I do have that resource for you as well. But vitamin D is the sunshine supplement, and it's going to activate immune cells. And did you know that there's really a pandemic of vitamin D deficiency? Absolutely. Most Americans are deficient. It is recommended that you get a level check. Now, Sylvia's recommended specifically that, because she's a retired nurse practitioner, the 25 hydroxy vitamin D level, but you can talk to your doctor about what they offer. If you're having to pay for a lot of labs out of pocket, Sylvia, you told me that this was a little bit less expensive than a full panel, so discuss that with your provider. But the deficiency is absolutely linked to COVID-19 mortality. I've got an upcoming slide on that. And doctors' guidelines are going to be important. Suggested dosing is from around 2,000 to 5,000 international units daily, okay? And that vitamin D deficiency being linked, they're looking at it even will help protect you. There was some research that said if everyone's vitamin D level was high enough, we would stop COVID-19 in its tracks. So people are really looking for options on how to help support the body. Now, iodine is another important nutrient. I think in the efforts of time, I'm going to flow through these. There is all this resource in your handout. Zinc as a respiratory protector is probably one that really highlight, because it's been used in study for 40 years. Okay, so when have you heard people to say to use zinc? Is it like when you're way into the infection or at the very beginning? At the very beginning. And lozenges at the illness onset have been proven to block virus from multiplying in the throat and the nasopharynx. Okay, so you kind of want that. You want to get it before it does it. So when they say if you do a lozenge, and if you can safely lay down and let that zinc kind of be in that passage, that's really going to help. And we also have this link of the zinc in the news. But at the first beginning symptom of any cold-like symptoms, and it's going to tell you again about letting it dissolve into the back of the throat. Elderberry extract, has anybody heard of elderberry syrup? Anybody use that? So the best choice is an unsweetened syrup. And that's thought to do a lot of things. One of the most powerful for preventing and treating colds and influenza, people swear by its antiviral properties. That was a little article from Pharmacy Times. And additional supplements that are highlighted in your resources is resveratrol, colloidal silver spray, quercetin, and acetylcysteine. You may hear that referred to as just NAC, and then the allium family. So this is a whole talk by itself, just these supplements. So we've got a lot of resource in there, but you're welcome to reach out to me or to Sylvia. We'll be sure to get you more info as you want it. Now, garlic and honey. Has anybody heard how beneficial these are? Okay, so many proven benefits. Using them alone or together, they can be taken as supplements. And they have looked at garlic and how to use it and the allicin that is in it. So garlic has antibacterial and disease-fighting properties. So we have a wonderful video on something called a flu bomb. Has anybody ever heard of a flu bomb? It's quite a drink. So I'm going to show you that video during our break. But the benefits of the ingredients are this: that garlic is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. And you're going to have inflammation with any upper respiratory, whether it's a cold, the flu, or anything. Cayenne pepper is in this thing, and that's going to clear the sinuses and the lungs. And lemon juice, very, very high in vitamin C. It clears mucus and promotes the alkalinity of the body. And again, this recipe is in your resource, and we're going to show you how to make it. So what's our common sense prevention? Do what you can to stay well. If you are sick, you should go out and be around everybody. Should you do that? No. If you are sick, stay home. I think our principal, Shelley here, would say, do you want the kids to stay home if they're sick? And we don't really need to spread the love, right? If you've got any symptoms, and if for some reason you do have to leave home when you have symptoms, avoid direct person-to-person contact and practice excellent hand hygiene. Do I think you need to go into a hazmat suit? No. But I think if you think you have COVID-19 and you're getting tested for that, should you take some extra precautions? Yeah, but I would expect you to do the same thing if you thought you had the flu, right? Because the flu can be as deadly. I think our numbers for flu death, I don't want to be polarizing, but I mean, I think we're finding that the flu is and has been more deadly. So, okay, so COVID-19 does not need to be a death sentence. So if you ever get diagnosed, you've had these symptoms that we're going to share, please don't freak out, okay? I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, the COVID-19 is one of the coronaviruses. Coronaviruses have been around since the 1950s. This one is called SARS-CoV-2. It's a new and worse variation of SARS-CoV-1, which was the H1N1. Everybody remember H1N1? It has been said that this one is about 78% the same. There's all kinds of different things out there. This is from my own research. It is a respiratory virus that is pretty wicked. I think that's a good way to describe it. It attacks what, though? A weak immune system. It's going to attack the lungs, the nose, the throat. It's transmitted via droplets, but protocols are being developed for treatment. So what do you want to do? Find a good doctor. The key is to act early, okay? And mortality is related to a vitamin D deficiency. And I think this slide is pretty dramatic if it'll load. We'll see, there it is. Okay, so the red line is the death rate, okay? And the number at the bottom is the vitamin D concentration in blood. So they looked at the vitamin D level, okay, of patients and those that were dying. So when that vitamin D level got above 27, look what happened to the death rate. Where'd it go? It dropped like it went off a cliff. So there is an absolute correlation between vitamin D level and coronavirus. Now, have you been wondering about symptoms of one thing versus another? So there's a handout in your packet on the symptoms of COVID-19, allergies, influenza, and the common cold, so that you can kind of see. One of the things they're really saying with COVID-19 is that loss of taste and smell is a little bit more dramatic than in some of these others. And you really want to be prepared, right? Because a good prognosis with full recovery is if you act early. So prepare your body now by building up the immune system. You think you might want to practice New Start? Anybody want to practice New Start? I hope this has inspired you a little bit. And if you are not already, there is the thought to start taking about 50 milligrams of zinc. Remember, discuss it with your doctor if you're on any medication, if you have any questions. D3 up to 5,000 international units daily. And then vitamin C, about 1,000 milligrams 3 times daily as tolerated by you and your body. If you are positive, like if you've had symptoms, you've seen that, seek medical help early. We're going to talk about an ICAM option on the next slide. You're going to follow home isolation, right? Remember, the first big thing is to stay home. Follow the action plan steps, which are on your sheet. We're going to talk about those. And remember to follow your ABCs. So, because if you freak out and your attitude goes south and you don't believe in anything anymore, is that going to help you? No. So, I mean, just kind of always have your focus and your eye on the Lord. And I think if you keep yourself in his word, will he get you through? He'll absolutely get you through. So the ICAM protocol is a protocol that was pioneered by Advent Health, one of our Adventist health hospitals in Ocala, Florida. The handout has details. It is a new and inexpensive treatment for COVID-19 that they've been doing since April. But have we heard about it in the news? It's been very successful. What is the news full of? Negativity. I guess they can't put anything positive out there. It has been studied and approved by Florida Health Department back in September 2020. Key is to start early. ICAM is an acronym. The I is immunosupport. They are specifically using vitamin C and zinc. So that's where we feel pretty confident to recommend take vitamin C and zinc if you want to explore those options. The C is a corticosteroid to decrease inflammation, because that's one of the biggest things that starts happening. And with COVID-19, there is a cascade effect. There's about 5 stages of COVID-19. The viral effect in the beginning, all the symptoms that are on your sheet about what's happening, are in the first 3 stages. But at the end of stage 3, if you've not done anything to get rid of that virus, and if your immune system hasn't knocked it out, then you start having inflammation and clotting. So the inflammation is going to be taken care of with a corticosteroid, and then the anticoagulant is going to help prevent the clotting. And then macrolide is the name of the antibiotic they're using to prevent what's called COVID pneumonia. They have had tremendous success with no ICU or respirators for 96% and more of the treated patients with COVID-19. Isn't that amazing? Like, praise the Lord. This is just something very basic. So to me, the thing I would want to ask a practitioner is if they know about that, right? So we'll talk about that in a second. So if you are sick, stay home. You're going to check your temperature 1 to 3 times daily if you start feeling sick. If your temperature is above 100.4 or greater, there's the thought to get tested for COVID-19. You're going to isolate yourself from others at your home. Like, if you truly feel like you may have COVID, should you be hanging out with, you know, the grandparents and the kids? I mean, and so try to isolate yourself even at home. Follow the immune system ABCs and New Start. And if you are positive for COVID-19, find a doctor knowledgeable in some kind of optional treatment like ICAM. Do not wait. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. And then your ongoing self-care, we recommend that you monitor your blood oxygen level. Sylvia was really clear with me on this. You can get a little fingertip pulse oximeter. You can find one of those at Walgreens or anywhere. If your O2 sat, that's the saturation of oxygen in your blood, is below 93%, what should you just like go to bed? No, we'd like you to call your doctor or get to the ER. If your symptoms worsen, get to the ER. Okay, and all this is detailed in your plan. Does that help to kind of have some parameters about what to do and what you're watching for? Okay, excellent. Okay, so now the last resource I'm going to mention, America's Frontline Doctors. Anybody heard of America's Frontline Doctors? A lot of people have not heard of this group. This is a group of physicians. It's an organization that wanted to empower the voices of individual doctors that are on the front line treating COVID-19. And a couple of their quotes in their website, it says they exist to counter the pandemic disinformation campaign. Do you think there might be disinformation in the world ever? I think the devil is the key instigator of misinformation and twisting things around. He wants us to be frightened and uninformed. And the Frontline Doctors just simply believes in your right to be informed. It was founded by Dr. Simone Gold. She is not only an emergency room physician, but she is a licensed attorney. I'm just amazed by that every time I say that, as if 1 degree wasn't enough. She has both. So their website offers educational articles. They have videos, interviews, podcasts. They're going to teach you about something called hydroxychloroquine. Some people have heard a bunch of negativity on it. I encourage you to read the white paper they have, look at the information they offer. They have information on masks and how effective they think those are. And then they have some treatment options explained. And guess what? They also offer some phone consultation. They have a referral option in there where you can actually schedule a call with a doctor and do some telehealth. So I think that it's a good idea to go to americasfrontlinedoctors.com. That's coming up in this next slide. This is just a screenshot from their website. If you click that little place where it says check out our latest media, that's going to take you to a whole other page. So just really get around there and prowl around on that website. And again, this is also in your resources page. So I really think it's critical to have a medical provider. And I hope that you want an immediate resource. You know, if you're going to initiate an action plan, you want that support. So if you already have a provider, I would encourage you to share the ICAM protocol. Share America's Frontline Doctors resources with them. Verify how your current provider would handle COVID-19. Because unfortunately, there are doctors all across the country that are just telling people, well, go home and just see how you do. I totally disagree with that. I don't say that lightly. You know what I mean? I kind of stick my neck out to get up here and tell you what I think, right? I think that there are treatment options available. I think if you get treated and you start that early, you're going to have a better outcome. And if you do not have a provider, find one, okay? So I would like to take this time to introduce you to a local option. And I have invited Rick Christman, who is the COO of A Pattern Medical Clinic. And I was so excited. I found about your office. So join me up here, Rick, from Dr. Haig, who's a local podiatrist. And they could not speak good enough stuff about you. So make sure you're on. And I just asked Rick to come today and just share with us a little bit. See if you're on. Say hello to the people.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Try it
Can
on
you
the
hear my voice?
Try it on the
I'll
bottom.
Speak up. Let's see here. Doesn't seem to be.
It probably won't light up.
Just hold it down, I guess.
There we go. So go ahead, Rick. Tell us a little bit about, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully this has been info that's been good to hear shared.
This is great information. In fact, these are the principles that I've been living by and helping me in my own health journey. When I become sick and try to avoid it. A lot of these natural remedies are exactly what A Pattern looks like. In fact, A Pattern is an acronym. It's really the New Start acronym in different letters for air, rest, sunshine, exercise, nutrition, and so forth. So it's based on 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 16, describing as Jesus being the perfect pattern, or the perfect example. And he's given us a perfect example for health back in the creation story, where you can find these New Start principles. And so we really focus on treating the whole person, not just the physical side, but the emotional, the mental, the spiritual side, actually serve as the chaplain as well for the clinic, because we believe the spiritual needs are just as important as the other health needs. And so we're located right down the road. We opened up in June, where the Med South urgent care is. That was sold, that building, and now it's called A Pattern Medical Clinic. It's off of Little Debbie Parkway. You probably been to El Jinete restaurant or driven by it. It's right next to there. So we have a great team. We have all of our practitioners are ACLM or Lifestyle Medicine certified.
Which is a big deal.
It's a big deal because we believe in lifestyle medicine. You're probably wondering what lifestyle medicine is.
As lifestyle medicine, we're going to throw drugs at our head.
No. Although we do medication, because there are times we need antibiotics, right? But we really try to emphasize the lifestyle medicine. Everything you're learning here, our practitioners understand, they have keen awareness that prevention is the key. Boosting your immune system is the key to health. So we do offer a variety of services, everything from telehealth. So you ideally want to see your practitioner the first time, if you're the first time patient in person, get a kind of a full review. But after that, we actually do a lot of our visits through telehealth. Even though we've been open only 3 or 4 months right now, about 80% of our visits are telehealth. We do see everything from urgent care or family practice, internal medicine. Dr. Michelle Bandy is our medical director. She actually has such a great following that she has a number of patients from out of Tennessee, from Alabama, from New York. It's amazing. We also have a couple of nurse practitioners who teach as faculty at Southern Adventist University.
You know what, our group here would know Dr. Lily Trump. She's a member of our church.
Yes, as well as Dr. Cindy Rima. So wonderful people, and we really do care about our patients. You'll find that our practitioners will spend about twice as much time as the average practitioner, just because we really value the quality experience, not just quick hit and runs.
I think one thing that really impressed me with your philosophy was that it was the whole person, that the spiritual component as well, and really you mentioned about helping people reverse diabetes and finding a lot of education, and they were looking for a church to kind of have a relationship with. I think you mentioned that.
Yes, our goal is to have partnerships with area churches like the Leader Wall Seventh-day Adventist Church, because we are actively engaging our patients and offering prayer at the end of each visit. And then sometimes spiritual topics come up and we want Bible studies. So I usually often try to start those Bible studies and then connect with the local church. So we're thrilled to be in this location. And we just started not only COVID testing, but we just started rapid COVID testing. And the good thing about it is, like if you go to AFC down the road here, the urgent care, you'll be charged for rapid COVID testing. And it depends on your insurance. But we actually, whether you're insured or non-insured, we offer free COVID testing. Okay?
Amen to that.
So whether you have insurance or not, feel free to spread the word. I'll give you our brochure. It's free. The only way we will charge is if you are not symptomatic and you want a rapid COVID, because rapid COVID do cost a lot, we do charge. So if you're symptomatic and you need a rapid COVID testing, it's free. If you're non-symptomatic, we do the 48-hour and we send it out to the lab because it's a lot less expensive and time-consuming for our clinic. But for some people that say, hey, you know what? I got to travel out of the country. We have actually someone today at our clinic that says, hey, I have to travel overseas and I need it rapid immediately in 15 minutes. Okay, we're going to do it, but since you're non-symptomatic, we're going to charge just because it takes a lot more time and money for us to do it. But we're here.
And your testing, though, I want to make sure you ask them, it's a drive-up.
It's a drive-through testing, so we're not exposing you or others to COVID in case you have symptoms. So we're very cautious. We're in full PPE, and we've done this a number of times, and we are seeing, just as a side note, positives increasing. We test every day that we're open. We're open 6 days a week, actually, Sundays and Fridays. And so if you want to get tested, we recommend you call in advance to make your appointments. But we do allow people just to drive through. You may have to wait a little longer. So if you have any questions, feel free to call us. We're here to serve. We are taking new patients. Walk-ins are also welcome. Our schedule the last 3 weeks has tripled. We've become busier, but we want to make time for you, and we will do everything we can to get you in as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate that. Come a little hand for coming and joining us today. Dr. Michelle Bandy, and she's really specific on looking at the individual person and tailoring that care as well as the American Frontline Doctors. So I just I want you to have options in our community, and so if you all know of any other options, you want to bring them to our health ministry's attention, please do that, because I think being informed is a big deal. So in closing, I just want to share Psalm 112 verse 7. They will have no fear of bad news. Any fear? No fear. Their hearts are steadfast, trusting in the Lord. Okay, so that's what we're to trust in. And so if people ask, like, well, what is your view, Diana? What is your view? Well, here's my optimist view. So take this, understand this is my view. Here's my view. If I'm with somebody, you probably don't have it. My first thought, that's my optimist thought. Second thought is, well, and if you did have it, I'm probably not going to get it. My third thought is, if I do catch it, I'm going to be okay. Now, why do I say that? Well, first of all, my faith and my belief, right? And my body is strong. And I believe there are effective treatments available to me. And honestly, whether I live or die, and I spelled this out on the screen, whether I live or die, whether I die from old age or cancer or COVID, I believe it's only through the Lord's scrutiny. I believe in the promises of his word. And I believe that he will get me through whatever comes my way. I don't mean to think to say that faith is like a magic bullet. It's going to protect you from everything. But I do believe that all the days ordained for me were written in his book before one of them came to be. That's from Psalm 139:16. And I think we have to do our part to claim those promises. And then the final thought, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And I think that we can hope in the Lord, and we know that he will see us through, and he is our master physician. So thank you all so much. Has this been helpful in any way? Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have some wonderful ladies getting ready over here to serve you. And there's a couple kinds of soup over here that we're going to be blessing in just a moment. Now, Pastor Peter, do you want to join me up here and say anything about Galena's soup? I know you arranged that one. And while he's on his way up here, Sylvia made a wonderful recipe from the Dinner with the Doctor. If anybody's familiar with Dinner with the Doctor, it's a creamy vegetable soup, right, Sylvia? The recipes are in here. And Pastor Peter, you made some copies of Galena's recipe, I believe, for everybody. And Galena herself is over there. I was going to have Galena come up, but she's already way over there. We're not going to make Galena come up. So we're going to serve you all, and there's some different options over there of a vegan oilless